close. There we go. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn you up a little bit though. There we go. So I gave a very vague introduction to Ben from Overland Trail Guides because I kind of wanted to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. And I've only had a chance to cruise around your website a couple of times. Um, some pretty cool stuff. You've even got links to where you can rent Jeeps and Toyotas. So please tell me more about you.
More about me. I live down the 101 from you, based in Marin County, Bay Area native.
Mhm.
Um, and I think like a lot of people growing up in Northern California, I kind of grew up camping, mountain biking, backpacking, all that stuff. And I've been doing the truck and car exploration thing for a while. I used to be a DJ back in the day.
Oh.
Obviously, a family man now, so I've kind of long gone with all that. And we used to do a lot of outdoor stuff, even some stuff in Mendocino National Forest back in the day. So this is before you had like Google Maps, Gaia, all this other stuff. You had to be really resourceful and kind of tracking down these places to explore. And there was really like very little resources in
Mhm.
terms of what was online, which is totally different today.
Mhm.
So we would go out to these places like driving for like 3 miles and back roads or whatever, trying to find a cool party spot. And that's kind of like what I liked. It was part of the adventure, right? It was
Mhm.
like getting out there and kind of exploring something new. I guess at the time I didn't really realize I could just do that and I didn't have to bring the sound system out there. So once I kind of like, oh, hey, you mean I don't have to lug 500 pounds of sound equipment and do all this other crap? I can just go out there with my camping and plus, you change as you get older and I'm not trying to stay up all night anymore. So yeah, that's kind of like where it came from. It was that whole exploring element. We would just go out there and like I said, um, now just bring the truck and the kit out with me. So fun
Mhm.
stuff.
So, were you documenting your routes before the apps and whatnot?
No, because a lot of the technology didn't really exist back then.
Okay, so you
Even
weren't taking a paper map with a highlighter and.
what were we doing? I think we were literally getting, so like Mendocino National Forest, Los Padres National Forest, and some other places, literally getting like the US Forest Service maps
Mhm.
and, okay, there's a campground here. What can I find out about it? Right. And
Mhm.
then you kind of get limited information. You drive out there and it's kind of like, oh, this is not what I was expecting, or this is really rad or whatever. So it was a crapshoot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the things we're noticing is that it's when you go out, sometimes even the map doesn't, the road may exist, but it might have changed because of erosion or a
Totally.
landslide or something. Though the
Yeah.
M1 north of FH7 is closed numerous times lately because of there's a section of road where the M1 is just below a creek that flows
Yep.
very rapidly and it's eroding the hillside. And I went down in shoot, it was like March and
Yeah.
I was able to get through my Subaru with no big deal. But then I went back, I think it was May, and or not May, it was before about April, and it had dropped like 8 more inches. I actually bottomed out the car going through there. So
Wow. And
the
that's
Forest Service maps don't say that.
before Howard Lake.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a couple of videos from there. And I was out there, was it the end of last year? And there was some rain coming in, and they just kind of took a dozer out there and just pushed it through.
Hmm.
Luckily, I got some pretty big mud tires in my Land Cruiser, so I was confident I could go up it. But if I was running on like all trains or something, I was a little sketched that I was going to start sliding all over that hill.
Yeah. Well, not to stay on this topic too long, but I know that like FH7 they graded an awful lot, and this
Yeah.
last year uh, a ton of silt. Just so much
Yeah.
silt used to fill in the holes, and that's going to turn
Yeah.
to soup real soon.
It
Um,
is what it is.
so when did you realize or think it was a good idea to start tracking these? Because I was looking at your overall U.S. map, and you even
Yeah.
got some. It looks like up in Canada. I mean, they're all over the place.
Yeah, and I can give you a little bit of more background on this whole map thing. So before I was a DJ, I used to do a lot of mountain biking in Marin. We got a lot of trails down here. And since I was a teenager, I've just always been super into maps. So I remember, I think I was in 8th grade. Are you familiar with like the old USGS quadrant maps that you could get at, I'm trying to, I
Like
can't, it's
poster size.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I had like 30 of them, all of Marin County, just covering my entire wall. And I took like a little red marker and I just like highlighted like all the fire roads and all the trails. So that was like my Gaia back in the day, a very, very low tech Gaia. Um, as far as Overland Trail Guides go, I'll kind of give you a little bit of background of how that came about. Um, I love maps, as you probably know, and exploring and everything. I would do it for whatever reason, even if nobody was looking at it, probably. But I realized
Excuse me.
it takes a lot of research if you're going to go somewhere new, right? Especially to put an extended route together. You know, there's a lot of resources out there, books that will tell you, oh, the Rubicon Trail or Fordyce Trail or whatever trail you want to go on. But there's not a lot of resources out there that say, okay, you want to go to Death Valley for a week. Let me give you an itinerary. Let me give you a proposed route. Let me give you things to see along the way. You can do it, but it's like spending a lot of time on Facebook, a lot of time on Google, a lot of time, you know, and then you're checking like, can my vehicle go on this trail? Is it open? So we try to take some of that legwork out of the way, and give you an idea. Like, you want to go up to British Columbia. Okay, is my vehicle suited for this? What is on this route? Is this something I would be into? And hopefully it'll give you enough of an idea if you want to do it. And, you know, usually most people that do these routes, they don't, well, I guess some of them do, but a lot of them do a lot of side exploring as well. You know, they kind of use the route as the foundation, and they'll be like, I wanted to go see this waterfall, or I wanted to go over here, or we had family over there. So there's a lot of that variation as well.
Yeah, we'll do the same thing when we're planning a trip. We'll find like a major artery. Let's just say M4. We're going to go along the M4 somewhere, and we'll just start out where we're going to start and drive
Yep.
until we find what we like, which is one of the things I love about dispersed camping. We're not
Yeah.
stuck in site 12 next to John Q. Public, you know. So it's really kind of fun to just go out, but it is nice to have some idea going out there, the terrain
For
and
sure.
whatnot that's going on there. And cruising around your website, that was one of the questions that I didn't have time to find if the answer was there or not. But do you have the routes like color coded for, like, you know, like a novice, intermediate, or expert level, or Subaru versus Jeep kind of thing?
Yeah, so what we try to do is we try to put a recommended vehicle up there. Let's say if you were going to go on something like the M1, even though the upper part is a little bit bumpy, I would say that's definitely suitable for like a Subaru or a RAV4 with decent tires, right?
Yep.
Um,
Well, obviously, I've done it.
yeah, if you wanted to go up, what is that trail? There's a trail coming off a whole mountain. It's a very mild blue trail. It's barely a blue trail, but it cuts off to the left and it kind of has a lot of rollers. I forget what the name of it is, but I would call that definitely a trail that you need a high clearance 4x4. A stock 4Runner would probably work, but I probably wouldn't bring the Subaru out there. So we try to give an idea of what your minimum equipment that you would need for a particular route. Maybe down the road, as we kind of figure out all the technology that we're going to use, we will be able to color code some of those parts. So this is a blue section. We typically don't do black stuff because, you know, the black stuff is really reserved for the rock crawlers. You know, like
Yeah.
most overland rig, there's a couple out there, but most of them aren't really well suited to do that sort of super gnarly stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's so do you have others that work with you to maintain? I mean, you guys have a pretty good website. It's very easy to navigate. It's got some amazing pictures. I mean, I gotta
Yeah.
throw that out there again. Amazing pictures.
Yeah, that's definitely a marketing selling point. I can't go into all the details, but what I can say is we work with a lot of locals. We work with people like local land managers
Okay.
to verify that certain parts of a route are open,
Okay.
but definitely relying on a lot of local knowledge. I mean, it's the internet. There's a lot of stuff that already exists out there. And sometimes it's just a matter of putting things together and then verifying that everything is open.
Yeah, I was impressed. I think that's great. How often do you find yourself going out and exploring new areas out of curiosity?
Oh, not as often as I like.
What?
I mean, yeah,
You're
right.
Marin. Come here and I'll drive the rest of the way.
I'm trying to get the wife to move up to Sonoma, but we're kind of stuck down here because of our jobs right now. Um,
I get it.
yeah, but um, so and what we did for mapping this last year and actually going out and verifying because there wasn't enough information out there. We did the Shasta Trinity Backcountry Discovery Trail, which
Okay.
we ran back in June. I'm actually in the middle of editing that video, which is why I was asking about Adobe.
No,
And
okay.
then we
Yeah.
also did Tahoe as well. And so I think next year I'm probably going to get out to El Dorado, Stanislaus National Forest. Basically, what we're trying to do is uh, continue what the Forest Service did in
Hmm.
conjunction with California State Parks OHV division, where
Hmm.
they create California Backcountry Discovery Trails and just keep growing that network basically. And so the idea is we'll see how far south we can go if we can get all the way down to the Southern Sierra and basically connect those all the way up to the Oregon border. Because
Oh, there you go.
right now you can run from the southern border of the Tahoe National Forest all the way up to Modoc at the Oregon border right now.
Hmm.
So we're going to keep pushing that and see how far we can go.
That'd be a cool one. So, on the website, it seemed like you don't charge for the information, but you have a link to your Patreon. So, how does that work? Is the information free or do you charge for it?
Yeah, we're experimenting with that right now. Right now, pretty much everything is free. I don't know if it'll always be that way. We'll see how Patreon grows over the coming years.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we want to definitely do for 2021 is to start putting out some more media material out there. So
Okay.
trying to put some stuff on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we're putting a video together right now for the Shasta Trinity Backcountry Discovery Trail.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would like to do is have some other routes up there as well so people can see it. I think they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. I'm not sure what a video is worth, but I mean,
Yeah, right.
you know, you can see it, you can see the experience, you can get an idea of the terrain, of the scenery, maybe some of the points of interest, and hopefully give you an even better idea if that's something that you'd want to do. And to get
That
more traffic and eyeballs to the site too.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, there is a link to their Patreon in on their page, and I did link to you guys in the description. There's a link to
Cool.
your website, so if anybody wants to make it easy, scroll down, and you can copy and paste it right into there, or just overlandtrailguides.com. It's that simple.
Rad.
Um, and again, I found it super easy to navigate. The only downside was I kept getting distracted by the photographs.
Yeah, that's really kind of the hook to kind of get people in there and say like, I really want to go visit that place. Yeah,
It works.
for
It
sure.
works. I tell
I,
you.
I will even look at some of those photos and I'm like, God, I need to get out to wherever. But
Mhm.
life gets in the way.
Yeah, no, I get it. I've got two kids myself. One's 20, or just turned, yeah, and then the other one's 13. So one's out of the house, one's
Ah,
still here.
okay.
My
That
circumstance is a little different.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I know you said you had two, and I was like, I only see one in your videos, but if he's 20,
Mhm.
I get it. He's doing his own thing.
Doing their own thing, and well, yeah. Uh, but also not so outdoorsy like my son, who we started camping at 6 months. We took him on a trip
Oh
in
wow.
November at 6 months old.
Wow.
Start them young, they say, right?
That's rad. Yeah. Yeah, get it
So,
into him.
how long has your website been up?
We launched it fall 2019.
Okay.
So just under a year. Yeah,
Okay.
I had a little bit more spare time before COVID hit,
Mhm.
and I kind of just went crazy with it. I know my wife wasn't too happy with the amount of time that I was spending on it, but I've kind of I've kind of slowed that down just a little bit and trying to get down to like a sustainable pace that works for everybody. So
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, it's a fine. I've been asked that before on somebody else's live stream. Is how do you balance your family life with your content? It's like, well, it's pretty much impossible to really do effectively. You just do what you can to be a part of the family still, but do everything you can to keep getting content out there. I don't know how. I know you've started doing YouTube videos and podcasts. The podcasts I've seen are available on the website,
yeah.
and I did watch a couple of your podcasts on YouTube. And I'm sure you're aware, like you know, most myself and many others, how much actually goes behind these live streams. I just did one at 5 o'clock with Mendo Fever. I spent
Hmm.
3 hours just setting it up, let alone my research and whatnot
Yeah.
related to that. Also, while my wife is also rendering video clips we can play in the background. So you're looking at like 5 or 6 hours
Wow.
for one live stream of man hours. So when you
Wow.
mentioned the balance of family life, it's extremely difficult to do, but it's extremely rewarding when we start seeing, you know, the comments later on in the videos and the likes and the questions.
Yeah.
And that's what this right now, that's the satisfaction I get out of, and the reward I get from doing all of this stuff. Because
Yeah.
you guys are trails, like, you know, routes, and as you know, I'm pins, I'm locations. That's my gig, if you will. um
You're kind of the Mendocino National Forest guru. I mean,
uh,
that's kind of,
Getting there. Getting
well,
there.
that's the reputation that you definitely have on the internet. I've seen more than a few times, and I'll throw your name out there too. Like when people ask about Mendocino, it's like, hey, check out his YouTube channel. So
Right
you
on.
definitely,
We still have, we have two outing. We just did one of the outings to Plesket Meadows post burn. We were just at Lake Pillsbury Tuesday while it was actively burning. Um,
yeah.
we're just digging through that, but that's let alone the footage we filmed of the Mendo Forest. We haven't even released yet before the burn. So
I
when
know.
I tell people I have terabyte, I have a 10 terabyte drive down here that's almost full of video from multiple cameras and drones. As you know, we've talked about this
Yeah.
pre-burn. So at some point we'll do a pre and a post. Yeah, I'd like to think of myself as an expert of Mendo Forest, but it's huge with 913,306 acres. That's a little bit to
Sounds right.
cover.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a
It's a
lot.
lot, yeah.
But the
But
Shasta Trinity is like twice that. It's some insane, because it used to be two separate forests, but it's
okay,
1 million and something. It's a huge forest.
I didn't know they used to be separate forests. Is that what you said?
It used to be Shasta National Forest and Trinity National Forest, and it's pretty commonplace. There's a number of national forests that were like that, and I assume they probably consolidated them, just like you see cities a lot of times. At least in Marin, there's a lot of small cities here where they're like, why do we have two police departments when we can just consolidate and have a single chief, less overhead? So I would assume that's the reason why.
Hmm. Alex H, hello. He says hello, gang. I'm saying hello back. Shout out. Um, so I noticed that you guys do have a link to rental vehicles. Do you offer any advice on what to rent? I mean, it looked like it was Toyotas and Jeeps for the most part, but
Mhm.
you're talking short frame, long frame. I mean, there is a difference, and it does matter.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk to those people, they're not going to rent to anybody that's going to go crawling on them. And
Hmm.
most of the people that rent them are doing pretty mellow stuff most of the time.
Okay.
Most of the time, I know there's people that like to take rental vehicles out there and go smash them. Um, but basically, those are some of our partners. We work with Topo Terra down in San Diego. We work with Colorado Overlander out in Colorado. They do a lot of stuff in Utah. And then I was talking to a girl at Cypress Overland that runs out of the Bay Area. They have, I think, a Tacoma, an FJ Cruiser, and a Jeep. And what's really interesting about it, after kind of talking to all of them, um, it seems like the people in San Diego and Colorado, for whatever reason, are getting people that are a bit more hardcore. Maybe they're flying in for business and they're like, hey, I'm in Denver. I'm going to go out to the Rockies or something. I want to go do the Alpine Loop or whatever. And they will get out there. It seems like probably not a surprise, the demographic in the Bay Area. There's a lot of people in San Francisco that don't have vehicles.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
so that seems to be a big customer demographic for companies like Cypress Overland. I'm not sure what Pacific Overlander does, but they're probably the biggest one in California. But to give you an example, somebody might be doing 100, 200 miles in Colorado. It sounded like a typical trip for Cypress Overland was, I'm going to go down to Big Sur. I'm going to drive 6 miles on dirt to Pruitt Ridge. That's my overlanding experience. Or I'm going to go out to Usal Road, drive 12 miles round trip on dirt, and that's my overlanding experience. So a little bit different in terms of what their average customers were, I guess.
When I was out in Moab last July in 2019, there were rental companies everywhere. They had
Oh yeah.
like the basic Jeep with the flip down windscreen and a roll bar,
Yeah.
all the way up to the brand new fancy bells and whistles, big rims and tires and Tacomas and side by sides, and it, it was awesome for me to see. I mean, we're sitting down having lunch, and guys at side by sides are driving down the street. This is fantastic. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm in a home. I
Yeah,
couldn't live there, but it was just fun to experience. But
for
um,
sure.
so what about we talked about difficulties of trails and rental vehicles. Um, what would be your advice, or do you have any starting points of uh, learning how to drive off-road? Because not everybody knows how to, hit a
Yeah,
transition or a rut or avoid a
totally.
rock that's going to slice your sidewall open. Um, I don't personally have any, but I'm curious if you might. Any resources to start with.
Yeah, I'm not one of those hardcore people that, knows everything inside and out. There's definitely people out there. You can think of people that work at Cal Fire and they're driving off road and they're driving dozers and they're driving engines. Like those guys know
Hmm.
their stuff inside and out. I would say for somebody that's just getting into it, number one, get yourself a good set of tires. Like
Hmm.
even if you have a 4Runner, get rid of those stock tires, get something like some BFG KO2s or some Falcon Wild Peaks. There's a lot of really good tires out there. They're a little bit more money, but you're not going to get a busted sidewall just driving along out there.
Hmm.
The second thing I would say is go out with somebody that's been doing it for a while, you know, hopefully somebody that has a level head and start doing it on your own. And when you start doing it on your own, take it slow. There's definitely people, I think we've all seen them, especially out in the Mendocino National Forest, people that are just going a little crazy with the Bud Light between their legs and doing
Yeah.
the donuts wherever.
Don't know
Um,
what you're talking. I've never seen
yeah,
that before.
don't do well. We saw some of that when we were cutting our Christmas tree this last year.
I,
People are
I'm
kind of
joking. I cut a Christmas tree from Whole Mountain myself, and
yes,
I'm joking because I'm not saying that's what I do, but I see a ton of
yeah,
that. And when you're talking
yep,
about Lake Pillsbury, I avoid the valley like the plague. I get
yeah,
in, I get out, and I
yep,
avoid it at night. I will not go down there unless I severed my arm off. It
yeah,
is. Some people
yeah.
think that Indian Valley is bad. Man, stay out
Really,
of Lake Pillsbury Basin.
wow. Yeah, I've stayed there at the campground a couple of times, but booze, vehicles, and guns, just booze with any of those other two, just not a good idea.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but I always feel safe, like up on Whole Mountain. I've never had an issue, just so we're clear. I've stayed in Oak Flat a couple of times. Both times were terrible, horrible. Never doing it again. So now we just disperse camp up on the mountain. We're
yeah,
alone. We got a better view. We don't have to hear everybody partying. Sure,
yep,
you might hear some gunshots down at the
yeah,
airstrip down there, but to be honest, that doesn't bother me. I don't care. I actually like target shooting, so even hearing that at night, I don't care. Um, so, but what about training though? Because if I remember, you guys had something on your site. It seemed like you almost were available, like people could rent you guys to go out. Um,
Um, yeah, we've kind of pulled back stuff with COVID right now. We're definitely going to do more stuff. We're going to have some guided tours next year for sure. We're
mhm,
trying to figure out where those are going to be because we got to get all the paperwork and everything in line for that.
mhm.
And then we probably one of the things we'll definitely offer is custom route creation. Somebody wants to, I don't know, drive across the Sierra or something for 2 weeks. That's something we would definitely do, or we may even consider doing custom route guiding too. But that's kind of a work in process right now. Like I said, COVID kind of got in the way of a lot of that this year. So
Oh, it hit me bad too because I had planned on doing um, large guided trips where my thought was to get a group of people and uh, each day is say Friday through Sunday, and each day I'd hand you a map, and that map would have a route, and
yep,
along that route would have a few pins. You could go check this out, this out, this out, this out. Come back, everybody would be back in camp. We could share stories. Somebody got a flat, there'd be somebody there to help them out. I drive
cool.
a late model diesel truck, so I can
Yeah,
haul a ton of stuff. So if I haul out my large generator, a full size construction air compressor, a bunch of impact wrenches, like okay, well, at that rate, I could charge a little bit of money for them to come along for the map. But being a commercial drone pilot, A lot of guys, they don't have the ability to, they've never been out in the woods or they don't have a drone. Well,
Yeah.
I'll be ready for you when you come around the turn. I'll film you. We'll render the video back in camp. You can take it home with you and post it on your way home.
Cool.
That was going to be my big plan, but yeah, COVID kind of got in the way of that one. So I haven't done it. We were going to do it this year. I had three
Yeah.
routes already planned out with a centralized camp that was really, really large where everybody could
Yeah.
disperse or leave camp and go on the route and come back, go on a
Uh,
different route and come back, kind of like a clover leaf look, if you will. But
yeah.
no.
So that's funny. Like I said, I was a big mountain biker. I haven't as much just because my schedule's been completely thrown into flux with COVID. So I haven't been riding as much as I usually would. But they have something down here in Marin at China Camp, if you're familiar with the area, and there's just
Yes.
bike trails everywhere over there. What is it called? I haven't done it in a few years. It's basically an April Fool's Day ride, but it's kind of like what you said. And they have this centralized meeting point. It used to be Buck's Landing because they would all get drunk there after they would go on their ride, and it would be like, here's chapter 1. Here's what you got to do on your route, and then you got to come back, and then you'll get chapter 2, and then chapter 3. But kind of the same idea, and it was rad. There'd be like all these people out on the trails, kind of exploring stuff, and it's like a treasure hunt.
hmm It also makes it nice too when somebody, has trouble and trouble is a relative term,
Yeah,
whether it be a hole in the sidewall or stuck, you know,
yeah,
there's a lot of different things. So, having a group of people would be just fantastic. And also, like I was saying, it would be nice to have, all the tools plus a full-size air compressor, a large generator that everybody could
totally.
charge their phones and their tablets and their GoPros and whatnot. By the way, I'm scrolling through your website right now up on the screen while we chat together. So
No worries.
we're looking at your website together here online. And yeah, there's routes. I mean, you got them all the way down Texas, Arkansas, Colorado, Arizona, Nevada, a lot in California, British Columbia. I mean, you guys are all over the place. Oh, Yukon?
People love that Arkansas one. That is like a super popular overland route out there, and I've been getting a ton of traffic. So I need to get some more routes out in that area. There's a lot of people out in the Ozarks doing that, and they come from all over. It's crazy.
That's an interesting route. I'm tr- I'm looking
It's
at it for my first time right now. I'm zoomed in and I can see Highway 40, and then it goes over into
I
looks
think
like
it's
near Gilbert.
the High Watermark Trail, and the reason it's called that because it has a ton of water crossings on it. And if you go there in the wet season, you probably won't get across that first one.
Huh. Wow, that's a quite a line in this one section. Wow.
Yeah. So I get a lot of organic traffic from that one. It's crazy how many people come from like Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Arkansas, Texas to go do that route.
It's not what I think about when I think about going overlanding.
Hey, you got to work with what you have, right? I mean,
Yes.
I see all these people on the East Coast and they have some trails to hit, but we're just so spoiled to live in the Western United States. Even
Right.
in the grand scheme of the world, we just have so much open land here with so many trails that we can access. It's awesome.
So I'm looking at Northern California, the northern half of California, and I see what looks like teal, red, and purple. Why are there? There is some color coding going on.
Yeah, I think there's some routes that overlap each other. So I think I try to distinguish that with maybe a different color.
Oh, okay.
There's one that goes through Mendocino, Six Rivers, Lost Coast that
hmm
incorporates parts of the backcountry discovery trails in Six Rivers, Mendocino, and then a Lost Coast route. And it ties the three of them together to kind of create this 1 to 2 week long epic route. That's probably about half dirt.
Wow. You're gonna have your homework cut out for you though after all these fires.
Yeah, I mean, that's like you said, that's kind of the nature of the beast. What I would like to do eventually is have some sort of mechanism for people to post the status on a route.
hmm
Like, hey, this is M1 is closed here, right?
hmm
Like either you can't go through it or here's the detour or whatever, but it's impossible to keep up with those closures. Like
Oh yeah,
we put something
absolutely.
up and 2 weeks later, especially in the Pacific Northwest, where it rains so much and there's deadfall. British Columbia is insane. They get so much water up there, and some of those things are so remote out there. You get a washout in British Columbia, it might not get fixed for 3 years. You know, it's not like in the Mendocino National Forest where it's probably six to 12 months or something like that.
Another shout out, Eric Tokel. Hi. He's watching us also, saying it's a good show. Thank you. It's always good to know we're doing well. Um, now I'm up into, I think, British Columbia. Yeah, I am scrolling through your trails because I'd never even thought about it. Going up in there to go on the trails, or are there any trails? And yes, there
Oh yeah.
are. Now I
Yeah.
know.
I would say people hear about Moab and Utah all the time. British Columbia is insane. Number one,
Really?
it's huge, right? It's just
Okay.
massive. It's bigger than Texas. It's like Texas and California put together.
Okay.
And then there's nobody up there. So there's these places that once you get outside of Vancouver, there's not that many people out there. There's little logging towns, little mining towns and stuff like that. But it's not like California where there's just people everywhere.
Wow. So when you're out here, you're out here. That means be prepared, huh?
That means you probably want to go with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You have grizzly in a lot of those places. And getting intel on the condition of some of those roads can be really hard. You got to kind of be tapped into the locals out there that know.
And how often do you find the locals are willing to share that information? Because some of them don't want non-locals in there.
Sure. It depends. And I've certainly encountered that too. It's kind of a case by case. Some of those places are so remote. I think they feel even when something is posted on there that there's just not going to be that many people out there, you know? Because that is a drive. A lot of those places on that route are 6+ hours from Vancouver. So it's not like you have tons and tons. There's no airports out there. Like you can get to Grand Junction, then shoot over to Moab. You're talking about, you got to fly into Vancouver. Sure, you could take a float plane or something like that to some of those places, but mostly you're going to be driving a lot.
Yeah, this one on the northern Yukon, it looks like that's a really long trail.
Is that the Dalton Highway? I'm trying to remember which one that is.
I don't know the area that well. I don't study this part of the map, so forgive me.
So there's, I'm trying to remember which one it is, or is the Dalton in Alaska? There's a couple of, they're really just dirt highways. Imagine if kind of like FH7 out in the middle of the tundra. That's kind of what these are.
Really?
And so they're not technical or anything like that. They do have some, potholes and stuff like that, but they're well-known routes to people that are going up to the Arctic and want to go to the Arctic Circle, basically.
Yeah, it goes all the way to the edge.
It does.
All the way up.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think are you familiar with the YouTube show Expedition Overland? They also have stuff on like Amazon Prime.
No, I'm mostly the guy that watches like how to make videos and how to work with After Effects and how to fly drones.
I think
drone law.
I hear you, but I think when you look at some of these people that have the cinematography down and the storytelling element, there's a lot of stuff you can learn from that as well. But they did that highway. They also did the Alaskan one, which is slipping my mind right now. I can't remember it, but definitely worth watching if you kind of want to see what they get into. And they do a lot of cool stuff on the side. I think they go up to one of the First Nation villages up at the end of the Yukon, and they get to go like fishing with them and stuff. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. Forgive me as I'm a little slow with talk because I'm still cruising around your map and like, wow, really? Look at that! I didn't know that was a lot of information right here, and it's all right here, and I didn't pay a penny for it. That's fantastic. Granted, I'm not the type, to be completely honest. I'm not the type that's going to go to Arkansas and go four-wheeling. I don't.
No worries. So yeah, but if you live in the area, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Absolutely. No, I get it. And branching out over all 50 states is a great idea because there's people everywhere. I like to travel, but I limit myself to only so far. I'm sorry. I know I'm a local boy.
It's all good. There's a lot of good stuff around here.
There is. I mean, I've been exploring the Mendo Forest for years, and I think I'm at like 60%, 70%.
Yeah.
memorized because there's a lot of it like up towards Indian Dick. We went up there a whole bunch, but that was like in my late teens. I don't
Yeah,
remember much of that, and I didn't have any cameras, no GPS.
that's out there.
Oh yeah, we used to go way out there, but I haven't been out there in a long time, and we were gonna head out that direction until the fires hit. So yeah,
Yeah,
stay tuned. Um,
I know. I know.
so adventures and tours, but you guys, this website's so intuitive to use. Overland Rig Rentals, like it's that easy. And then here you choose, you got California, Colorado, and Oregon. You got links right to these places. And can only imagine they would be more than willing to help you choose what vehicle is appropriate for what you need and tell you where to not go to so you don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Um, but man, your banner pictures are even really good. I literally spent part of the time cruising around your website just looking at the photographs after I got a hang of what was what. I'm like, cruise around, look at these routes and see their pictures. But yeah, you guys have done a great job of laying this out. I'm really curious to keep following up on these podcasts you're putting out. That's terrific. Yeah, the OTG podcast, it's right here along the top. So Overland
Mm-hmm.
Trail Guide, OTG podcasts, and you got 3 episodes here.
We do. I have a 4th one that I haven't published yet, but
Okay.
I need to get around to that. That one is on the Cascadia skyline up in Northern Oregon, which unfortunately a lot of that route burned too recently, like Detroit, Oregon burned down,
Yeah.
which is like the start of that route. So it sucks.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, though. So how often
Yeah.
do you do podcasts, or how often are you trying to do a podcast?
I'm trying to put out between 1 to 2 in a month. I would
Okay.
probably say one and a half, maybe 2 some months, maybe 1 another.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea behind that is it takes a lot of work, as you know, to get out there and get all the footage, especially for a multi-day adventure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're trying to travel maybe up to 100 miles on dirt in a day, which is quite a bit. You're stopping, you're getting out, you're filming. It's a long day, and then you got to get home, and then you got to edit everything together, and you got to put a storyline and make all that. So I kind of view the podcast as an easier way, perhaps a shortcut
Mm-hmm.
for people to kind of explain their experience on the route and maybe share some stories.
Gotcha. So what kind of information do you cover in the podcast? The routes themselves?
What we try to do for people that are coming on and talking about routes, because we're going to have guests that are not talking about routes too, people in the industry, stuff like that, is basically talk about their experience, what they liked about it. Was there anything interesting that happened on it? Stuff like that, right? So like when we did, I don't think we talked about this when we did the Shasta Trinity show, but we had a neighbor
Excuse me.
up at a lake there that was target shooting like 50 yards away. And it's kind of like, okay, like just go out into the woods and do that, So there's weird things like that happen. We'll talk about just like kind of the experience if there was anything that stood out. Yeah. So.
Question as I don't know what we consider ourselves. We're not patrons. We're as people who offer stuff on Patreon. Um, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you have issues with this early access stuff? Because, man, I find it to be a huge challenge to get it up on there and then make sure I track the amount of time before it goes on to, say, YouTube. And then I
Yeah.
got to go change the setting on Patreon to make it a different kind. I found early access to be kind of a pain.
Well, I think our models are a little bit different, and I was trying to figure out what I would do with that as well. And I know you
Mm-hmm.
share a ton of stuff on there. I think the primary reason most people are donating to us on Patreon, it's kind of like, thank you for putting this content
Yes.
that's already out there,
Mm-hmm.
where you have a lot of unreleased stuff that you want to share with people.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to get to a point where we can do some of that. We've done a couple of things where we'll do a pre-release with a route like 2 weeks before,
Mm-hmm.
but to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, it's not like somebody, unless it's on their bucket list, it's like, whoa, this route, awesome, I have to go hit it now. I think
Mm-hmm.
most people are perfectly, it's going to take a matter of weeks or even months to kind of plan one of these routes to do anyways. So.
So I noticed you guys have decals and shirts and whatnot. Is that merch available somewhere else, or do you have to be a patron for 6 months to get a shirt?
Funny you ask. We actually have some new logos that are being developed right now.
Oh, okay.
So I think one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to start sending out some decals, um, to all of our Patreons. And I got to check to see if anybody is in those other tiers where they get those shirts.
Yeah, because I'm gonna want to get some too. I'll
I'll
rock your
hook you
stickers on
up.
the
No
back of my
worries.
trailer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gladly.
No, I'll
Um,
hook you up for sure.
we've
Some free
actually,
marketing. I know you're in the forest all the time. I'll give you all the stuff you want.
yeah. So with that said, the bigger the better.
Okay.
I've
So like
got,
one of those,
I
like
got a
those people from University of Oregon that have those giant O's on the back of their trucks.
No, well, currently I've got let's see, Mendocino Subaru, GoPro, and then some other photography equipment, Polar Pro
Cool.
sticker, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much. Oh, my BASM, that's on there too. Um,
What's that one?
Bay Area Supermoto. They're a group of riders that go out and do big rides together and go out and have
Oh,
fun.
cool.
And I've gone out with them in the past and done cinematography, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
I do the filming of, I'm the guy leaning out the window, the camera out the side as somebody rides by.
Yeah.
When we get to the end, I help carry stuff because they're all on motorcycles. I drive the truck. I can haul the barbecues and the coolers and whatnot. So
Yeah.
fun group of guys to hang out with, but totally different than what we're talking about here. So I have another question. Oh, so before I forget though, yes, I have a lot of surface area willing to talk about sticker sizes. Get back to me on that one. I went to trails, routes and trails, and then what is this? It went away. Master directory. So you have Lost Coast route, and then you have an OTC rating of epic. You
Yeah.
got a green. So should I go by these one by one to find out what they are, or do you want to just tell me abbreviation of all of them as one?
Some of those things that you see in there are still ideas that haven't come to fruition. So
Okay.
one of the things that we wanted to do with these routes is we wanted to gamify it kind of.
Hmm.
And so there would be kind of like a three-tiered rating. Epic would be something that you can do under a week. Um,
Okay.
Baja, like the Baja Rally and
Uh-huh.
the Dakar Rally. So the Baja was kind of like the mid stage, would be something that could be measured in a number of weeks. And something that was Dakar, which I don't think we have any Dakar routes
No.
yet, would be over a month long. So if you wanted to do something like the Trans America Trail, that would be like a Dakar rated trail where you're driving all the way across the United States.
You do actually. Okay, so on here it says recommended vehicle. Subaru with AT tires, 4x4 with AT tires,
Yeah,
4x4 with low and all-terrain tires. You do actually have some, okay, it gives you an idea of what your car can take.
for
One of the,
sure.
so let me ask your opinion of this one. When people ask me about vehicles and what to drive and ability, your driving ability and whatnot, my first response before I even dive into the question is 60% driver, 40% vehicle. I've seen guys that are amazing drivers drive
Yeah.
jalopies with no ground clearance and make it in without puncturing their oil pan or a tire. I've seen people take very capable vehicles and get them stuck.
Yeah.
So, would you agree with that percentage?
Yeah, I think it depends on the trail. And I'll give you a little analogy from mountain biking. There's a mountain biker from SoCal, and his tire fell off the rim, and he's on a downhill track.
Oh God.
And he's riding on his rim over rocks, over dirt, and you can see it sliding everywhere because it doesn't have
No
traction.
traction, yeah.
He would kick my ass if I tried to keep up with him down that trail. So I think that definitely goes back into the perspective of the skill set
Uh-huh.
usually trumps the equipment, but the equipment does come into play. I mean, there's certain trails that, you're not going to take a Subaru up, what is that, Powder House up at the end where you have the
Okay, yeah,
deep
yeah.
ruts. You're not
Yeah.
going to do that. Right.
Yeah, I understand there's still no matter how good you are, you're still
Yeah.
limited by the vehicle you have. I completely understand. Completely. Um,
But what I will say on our website, most routes can be done with something like a stock Forerunner. And a
okay.
lot of the routes, in fact, especially the backcountry discovery trails, can be done with like a RAV4 or a Subaru.
Hmm.
You know, I'd say the one that I would not take a RAV4 Subaru on is Plumas, because it goes up something called Poker Flat, which is definitely a legitimate blue trail that you probably want a lift on a 4x4. I'm not sure I'd want to take a stock 4Runner out there unless you want to bash it around a little bit.
Gotcha. One of my things that frustrates me about, because both of our vehicles are 4-wheel drive. The Subaru is symmetrical all-wheel drive, but we have a
Yeah.
3/4 ton late model Chevy that's 4-wheel drive. But the
Yeah.
gosh darn manufacturer put the DEF, the diesel exhaust fluid tank, as the lowest thing on the entire undercarriage. I've
Really?
already broken the plastic hard cover on it. I've already broken it free. I've got to get there's a CNC aluminum one that gives you an extra 1.5 inches to cover that DEF tank. Because if you puncture a DEF tank, not only is it like you're polluting, I mean, this stuff is caustic, but if my tank runs out, I'm limited to like 15 miles per hour or something stupid. And that was one of the things I actually brought up with my wife the other day when we were going into Lake Pillsbury was, as my warning light came on, you've got 931 miles till you're out, and so you need to add some. I thought, well, wait a second. What if I was, lazy bones, and I wasn't real good about, I'll do it tomorrow. No, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And then a fire hit, and I start my truck up, and I'm limited to 35 miles an hour. That scenario just doesn't sound any part of good. So to me, when I was thinking that, I was like, there should be some sort of life and death override. I'm sorry, can we forgive the environment for 20 minutes while this person runs for their life? Because I'd be screwed. Off topic though. So back on the topic, I was in your list. Let's see here. What was that page? Master directory, and I clicked on Big Sur Adventure Routes,
which is closed right now.
And amazing. Yeah, we covered some of that in I don't know, 10 live streams ago. I covered some of the issues going on down there. Amazing picture. But you guys have taken a ton of time to write out a lot of detail. Like there's an average rating, trip length 2 to 3 days, 136 miles, season year round, avoid heavy rains. I mean, I could read this all day long, but you guys have put a lot of effort into documenting these and writing out descriptions. You've got more links. I gotta say, you guys have done your work. This is this is all. Then you do have waypoints along the way, similar to what we have along this Big Sur route.
So ironically, that's one of the places we used to throw parties at Pruitt Ridge back in the day before everybody knew about it. It was one of those only locals knew about it. We pulled this big sound system out there one time, and there was a lady that lived like 5 miles away. It was a Plesket Ridge, and she wrote a blog post, and she was complaining about it because she could hear it.
She wrote a blog post about it?
And she had like a blog that a lot of people paid attention to up there. But I've been all the way to the end of that route, almost as far as you can go, basically exploring. So that's what we used to do. We used to go way out there and just like see what's out there. So.
Hey, what's an umbrella symbol on your on the map here? I've never seen that one. Looks like an umbrella anyway. When I click on it, it
off
says
the top of my head, is it a beach? Maybe.
It says Little Sur River State Beach. Yeah. Oh, so that's a beach umbrella.
Yeah, that's a beach umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I was doing my pins, that was a pain when I first got started. I was trying to figure out what icons they have and what they represent, and then color coding them. And
I know.
Oh, here's another one I've never seen before. It's like a castle-looking thing. No, it's a bridge. Huh.
Is that a bridge? There's a castle-looking one that's like a historic point of interest, like if you had a ghost town or something like that.
Yeah, now this one's, it's when I click on the label, it says bridge. But this is, you guys offer a lot of content. And as a photographer myself, you got some serious eye candy. This is almost as good as a Playboy.
We get a lot of hookups with that. It's free for now. I don't know if it will always be free. I think some of the routes will always be free. Things like that thing that you saw in Arkansas, that was somebody else who created it. We're not going to monetize something that somebody else created. But there is probably a good chance down the road at some point we will monetize some of the content that's on the site, but just not right now.
You got them. I mean, all due respect, viewer, we gotta get paid somehow because this takes a lot of time to create this. It does a lot of time.
Yeah, and to give you an idea, Onyx Maps, who is big in the hunting world,
Mhm.
and they kind of have a newer off-road map that it's actually super intuitive and easy to use. It doesn't have all the bells and whistle that Gaia has, and Gaia has been pushing out some cool stuff lately.
Mhm.
They had reached out to me. They wanted to buy some of the routes, but the potential money, and I won't get into it, kind of fell apart, but the potential money I was going to get out of it, I was basically, for the amount of time that I put into a route like that, I was going to get paid like well below minimum
Oh,
wage, to kind of put that in perspective, you know?
yeah.
So,
Bye.
well, that, like I said, that wasn't the reason. I
Yeah.
understood where they were coming from, but
I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, they're making plenty of money right now. So
they are.
I
Yeah.
know a lot of friends that aren't even hunters that use that app. I have several that are not hunters. I think one doesn't
They're
even own a
pretty,
gun,
they're
and
pretty
it's
big. They're like 200 people up in Montana, and they're pulling in top tech talent. They're pulling in people from like Oracle and well-known tech companies, and Gaia's like a dozen people over in Berkeley.
hmm,
Kind of put that in perspective.
spiritual traveling. I clicked on a link in your
Oh, that's a
Friends
group
of the
up.
Off-Road.
I think that's a group up by Mount Shasta, somewhere up
Yeah.
there.
Oh, spiritual travelings. Yeah, this is it right
Yeah,
there.
you got to
Should have
get
known better.
your crystals and your chakras aligned when you're up there, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay. If that's your gig, I'm all for it.
Yeah, do what you got to do.
My thing, I don't do crystals, but my weird quirk, if you will, when I see a spring anywhere, even if there's one on, I don't know if you ever go over Ida Clayton Road from like Highway 128 to get over into Middletown. There's a little spring right there, or you've
Okay,
maybe seen the spring
I
video
haven't
in
been that way
my.
in a
I
while.
have 3 of them on my channel. There's a spring in the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere. Um, I feel obligated, like it's an entry into clearing me or cleansing myself. I have to bathe in them. I don't take all my clothes off, but I'll take my shirt off and wash my arms and
yeah.
my face really, really extensively. And if I don't, I feel really weird the rest of the trip. I know I'm weird or strange like that, but when I see that clean water, there's just something about just washing off and whatnot. And
Yeah.
that's my crystals.
It's your baptism rite, right? Kind of cleansing yourself, and
Kind of,
that's good.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's just that refreshing feeling. I don't know how to,
yeah.
unless you've done it, it's impossible to explain the feeling of that water that didn't come through a city pipe. It doesn't smell or taste like
I
PVC or galvanized or copper. It's got that organic, earthy taste, smell, and feel.
Minerals, yeah, totally.
Hmm.
Yeah. See, I have my own weird quirks that I do when I'm out there. I like to get up early in the morning when everyone's still sleeping, and usually go for a walk and just kind of watch everything kind of wake up. That's kind of
Hmm.
my thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a time lapse in April when I was out up off FH7. I uploaded it to another website that I use to publish videos that actually does pay me already. Um, and I actually had people that were, because they offer like 6 different, it's a like, a dislike, I'd like to see more, a curious, or don't understand. And there's one that's an angry face. And I actually got angry faces on a sunrise time lapse. Like,
People are
how,
weird.
really? Like,
Yeah.
people are weird. Granted, people are
Yeah.
watching from all over the world. I've translated
Yeah.
it into like 8 or 9 different languages when I check the comments. So it's a lot of outreach. But yeah, your guys' website is really good and intuitive. Is there any other places that you guys post to? Do you have a Facebook group or any other platforms?
Yeah, a little bit, but probably not posting as much as I should be to the social media channels. We'll post on Instagram a little bit.
Hmm.
We do have a Facebook, but not too active on there. We do post routes to like Overland Bound and some other places, and some Facebook groups to kind of drum up some organic traffic.
Hmm.
But I'm kind of trying to move away from that, and hopefully go with the podcast and YouTube and other stuff to kind of generate more organic content that way.
Yeah, that's the hard part, is finding out what third party sites, if you will, to bring in more traffic, which ones to use.
Yeah.
I've been using Instagram the last few days, and I don't know, mixed results on that whole thing. Instagram is a
Yeah,
little
you don't
interesting.
want to throw on the Lululemons and do some yoga on top of your Chevy diesel truck or something like that to get some clicks.
No, not really. No, I'll be the one standing on top of my truck
Uh,
with a camera in front of me. Like that's my gig.
yeah, I know. I'm being totally facetious.
Yeah, it's man, you got a lot of routes though. I'm still scrolling through stuff I haven't. I've been on your site for I don't know, half an hour now, and I'm still discovering new content. So
Yeah,
again, to go ahead.
one thing I can talk about the site. Obviously, fall's here. Winter's just around the corner.
Hmm.
Snow's probably going to be coming, depending where you live, in the next 1 to 3 months. So what we're shifting gears, and we're going to be focusing basically on SoCal and the Southwest,
Oh
mainly
yeah.
probably Arizona.
Uh-huh.
So let's see, we're going to be pushing out Kofa, Kofa Wilderness, which is right outside of Yuma, which is a really, really cool place. So not that far from San Diego, a couple hours drive. We're probably going to put one in Anza Borrego. Then I have a really rad one that's based on a bike packing route that is kind of southeast of Tucson. And that one looks super rad. So I'm trying to kind of piece that one together and figure it out right now. And then we'll probably do like five or six routes over the course of the winter months.
You got this Rim Rocker Trail picture. It reminds me of one of the trails we hit in Moab, where it was like a 1,000-foot sheer drop and the width of your vehicle. It's scary. Woo.
So that's a newer trail that they put together. I forget who put it, but it basically runs from, I think it runs from Montrose, Colorado out to Moab. So it's a
Wow.
pretty popular route.
Moab's got a lot of people out there. I mean, I can see why too. When we were out there
Yeah.
for 5 days. We did fins and things, and went into a whole bunch of just different BLM areas and just explored. And
Yeah, it's crazy.
beautiful, beautiful area.
It is.
Hot. The thing that with the area we went to, and I forget the exact which BLM portion we went to, but they had vault toilets, but no roof. So you're in like 100-degree weather,
Okay.
baking in the sun, and there's no door. It's basically like you walk around a corner to get into your stall, if you will, and you hook a rope on or latch it on a nail just to indicate there's somebody in there. But it's 100 degrees outside. There's no roof.
I wonder if it gets hotter with that roof on. There's
It,
probably a
it
reason why
very
it's,
well does.
you know.
When you say that, I did one. We on the way home we went through Death Valley and it was 117, and I had to use the bathroom, so we stopped, and I'll never forget that experience ever in my life. Never. It wasn't just the heat, the bugs, the just everything you could think you'd not want in a bathroom when you have to use it. It was there. It was. Oh, oh, you got an amazing picture of Anthony Peak. I love that one. That's great with the sun flare coming
Death Valley is
across.
a Death Valley is a rad place though. Like if you haven't gone overlanding there, I would highly recommend it. There's some really cool places down there.
Now, would that be something you'd do in the winter though? Is it cooler then, or is it always the 1,000 degrees?
I think we did it in February over President's Day weekend.
And what was the climate like?
It was a little cooler. It wasn't too bad. I know some people have been out there and it will drop into like the teens or the single digits occasionally if you're a higher altitude. But I think maybe we were in the 30s or 40s at night. It wasn't too bad.
What about during the day?
I think it was high 60s. Maybe it was like 70
Ooh.
something when we got there the first day. But 70 degrees in Death Valley with no shade and that sun hitting on the dirt out there feels like 80 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Have
it's
you,
always.
when you were out there, did you experience any of the military flybys?
Not that time, but we had rented an RV over winter break last year, and I went with my dad out to Utah, and we did see some of the jets flying there, but nothing too close.
We were driving through Death Valley, heading, I'm not sure what direction, in a very well-equipped Overland Tacoma. And next thing we know, we hear this roar, and not even 100 feet above us, a fighter jet just buzzed our
Wow,
truck, nailed the
it's rad.
throttle, and did a hard left turn right
Wow,
in front of us. And as
wow.
a lover of aviation and jets and power, and I about passed out in my seat in ecstasy, like, oh my God, that was awesome. Like,
Yeah,
right over our truck, and then nailed that throttle, and you just that roar of that engine as he hits the throttle, and we pull over and it's gone. I couldn't see it
yeah,
anywhere. That was
yeah.
that. That was awesome.
Yeah, and I think that that's a rad place to see it because like some of those valleys in Death Valley and the mountains, the scale of them, because you don't have trees and kind of other stuff to measure like how big things are, how tall they are, how far away they are. You don't realize like the distance you have to travel going across like the valley floor and then how big that mountain is in front of you.
Yeah, and when your GPS starts reading negative numbers.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, wait a
It's
second.
pretty cool.
Tapping on it. Is this thing okay? How can I be below sea level? Well, you are.
Yep.
Yeah, this is awesome. That one. Oh, it is Mendocino. I was like, that looks really familiar. Mendocino Grand Circuit.
We got 2 routes out there. That one's kind of the big one. I don't know if that's going to be possible next year. We'll have to see what happens.
I'd offer you a bunch of routes, but I think all of them are going to be closed for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It kind of is what it is, unfortunately.
This is a practice target, X Country says. Yeah, I forgot missile lock, permission to engage. Did you watch my Corona video that I did a few months back?
I don't know.
You'll have to check whoever's watching, and Ben yourself, definitely go back scroll back to, I think it was February, and check out the Corona Copter Police. That was a piece of footage where we used the drone to follow the car and a GoPro to follow backwards, and then I used After Effects to the camera that's facing the drone, if you will. I put in a helicopter that's motion tracked to follow the footage, and then the drone footage is from inside the helicopter, and I'm driving along, and we get accused of having high capacity rolls, folding instead of crumpling, and like some other just stupid stuff. But
I think I might have seen that.
Yeah,
I can't remember that. It sounds familiar.
Shooting at my car. I got missile lock. So yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with with Mendocino in general, because so much of it is burned. I haven't done the math. The last time I did the math was like a week and a half ago, and it was like 46% of it had burned this year. And a lot has changed since then. So I haven't done the percentage, but it seems like pretty much everything south of Pillsbury is going to be open to us, but that's going to be about it. Everything north of there is going to be closed or restricted.
It's all my favorite areas.
Well, I've been hearing a lot of good things about the M3. I haven't done it myself, but I've been hearing a lot of good stuff. So I was talking with the wife the other day about what are we going to do, because we can go. We can cover some of these places that have already burned, but that's going to get kind of boring after a while.
Yeah.
Where are we going to go next? And then, well, it's like, well, wait a second. When we look at our pins, and that's one of the things that's really nice about having that map is, oh, we haven't covered this section right here. And that's going to take us a couple of weeks as it is. So the M3 area is something we're going to be covering next, because it's what's left open. But when it opens back up, you let me know, and I know a few routes. They're not going to be like 3 days long, but there'll still be some fun stuff to do.
Do you ever shoot up to Zinnia and like head over to Six Rivers, Ruth Lake area? That's a pretty cool area.
No,
even though it's burning right now, but some good stuff up there. Some really cool stuff, and hardly anybody out that way too, except dope growers, But
so it's like driving through Covelo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I made a comment on a Canadian live stream the other day because they were talking about our smoke hitting them, and I said just be lucky that Covelo hasn't burned, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "It's this little tiny town that everybody's growing like 1,000 acres of pot at every house. If Covelo goes up, the whole globe is going to be high."
Yeah, that's funny. I met a guy from Covelo when we were out at Usal Beach a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Hey," because I have his number. I was like, "Are you guys doing okay up there?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're basically draining the pond to use to fight the fire because it was right there." So hopefully he's got his place still. It sounded like they had it when I spoke with him, but I don't know what's going on up there right now.
There's been so far this season, I'm aware of 2 small fires that broke out before the August complex fire.
Yeah.
My understanding, and we can actually check that real quick. I don't know if you can see my screen or not.
I can't.
Okay, well, not a problem. The others, you just bear with me. Let's check the the hot spots in that area. Last I checked, that portion of the forest was cold. It's
Good.
in the burn area, but it
Yeah,
doesn't have any active hotspots. There's Round Valley. Round Valley stands out like a sore thumb on the map. Yeah, there's some warm spots. There's so few though.
that's good.
Hopefully they'll be able to get in there and restore at least FH7 and maybe give us back some, like Plesket Meadows and a couple other places. Would be really
Yeah.
sweet. My understanding is that FH7 Forest Highway 7 is a somewhat of a major artery to get across from, say, Covelo over to the other side into the valley. So I have it on Oak Knoll. That's
Is that entire thing designated as Highway 162, even it goes through the
No,
forest?
it's
not.
it's Mendocino Pass Road. Once you make that one turn in Covelo, you make that right-hand turn. It's Mendocino Pass
Yeah.
Road, and
Okay.
then once you hit you go. I think it's like a mile outside, maybe 2 miles west of or east of Covelo. You see a sign that says FH7, and
Yeah.
that's where it starts. It's almost at the forest boundary, but not quite. It's a
Yeah.
little shy of it. And then once you get to the other side, it switches back to 162. But it's also got a different name, Alder Springs Road in a portion also. So,
Yeah.
there's many different terms for all of this stuff, but fortunately it's a big, wide road. It's really hard to get lost on that road. All the turnoffs are really narrow. So
I always felt like it would be a really good road to do like a rally race on, especially as you kind of get up towards the Plesket Meadows side.
yeah, I could definitely see that. Not that I
Yeah.
would promote doing that, but yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
No, but it would be rad.
Absolutely. I'm scrolling in, and the map I use is caltopo.com, and it shows you hotspots and the time that hotspot was recorded. And I just found Oak Knoll, which in my videos is Big Dove, and it's
Okay.
inside the burn area. But again, I have no idea if it actually burned or not. We have
Yeah.
a request into the Mendocino National Forest for a forest order exemption permit, which would allow us unrestricted access into there as a media outlet.
Cool.
So we sent that out last night at like 11:30. So I don't know if I'm going to hear back tomorrow, but if I don't hear back, then I'm going to be giving them a call because time is of the essence to get this information out. And I know a lot of people are just dying to know. I actually have behind my screen, I have a list of places people have requested to see videos of. We're going to try to make it to Anthony Peak, Howard Lake, and Hammerhorn Lake in one trip, which would be hard because they're like, Anthony Peak is a long way from Hammerhorn, but we're going to try. And then Board Tree, Black Butte, the summit, not the store, and Ocean View. We almost made it to Ocean View and Board Tree, but when we were headed up, I think that's County Road 312, there was a green island, which means an area that had not burned, and we were almost to Board Tree. We were right below it. I mean, I could see it. It was right there. Not literally, but it was really close. And we looked down, saw a little bit of chimney of smoke, so we backed up, and it wasn't just smoke. It was active flame that was growing and starting to act as a ladder fuel to get it up into the brush. There's a lot of bushes right there, and so we just turned around and left. But from Ocean View, we should get a very good view of how much burned. Also from Black Butte, the mountain, that's going to be a very good spot to get a perspective of how much is burned. And fortunately, all of those places I've mentioned, except for Hammerhorn Lake, I've extensively videotaped from the ground and from the air. So at some point, we're going to be launching a video of a before and after. So
I don't know if I told you this. We were actually in the forest, I think at Smith Camp, even though it has a sign that says Simpson Camp.
Oh, I know that spot. Yeah, I have videos of that one. Yeah.
When the lightning was striking.
You were there?
We were there.
Oh.
And just thunderclaps, boom, boom, boom. And we mainly got out of there, well, for two reasons. There was a light drizzle, and we weren't sure if it was going to start pouring rain. And then it's just under 6,000 feet there. We wanted to get out of there for the sake of, getting struck by lightning. Had no idea that the forest was about to burn down, but there was just lightning everywhere around us. And I thought it was a mountain thunderstorm. Little did I know, I started getting the text when I got service back down in Covelo, and my wife was like, power went out. There was a lightning storm last night. It was crazy. And I was like, whoa. Had no idea.
Yeah, I was out there, let's say mid-August or April, and there a storm blew through, and we had 3 or 4 claps of thunder. We never saw any lightning. Did have a lot of drizzle or super heavy fog that turned into drizzle because it collected in the trees.
Yeah.
And in the moment, I was excited. Like, oh, this is awesome. But I didn't make the connection of like, well, we just had a fire with the one up by, that's not the one by Oroville. One of them took 2 to 2.5 weeks from the lightning strike to actually turn into an active fire. It sat there and smoldered until the
Yeah.
wind hit it just right and the humidity was low enough, and boom. But
And
some of those fires,
I was up there, up in the Plumas National Forest in Downeyville, Quincy, Feather River Canyon. We had drove through Oroville on Monday when those winds kicked in and everything got crazy. So it seemed like it was under control right before Labor Day weekend hit. And then those winds came in and it just fanned that thing and it blew out of control.
oh, bet. Overland family man, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Um, so I didn't. We were just talking about you being in the forest for that. That must have been something else. I mean, I know that spot intimately. We actually did a music video there for a friend of ours who's a DJ.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
he wanted a music video in the middle of the forest, so he brought all his DJ gear, and the
Wow.
Simpson camp. You know that spot.
Yeah.
If you walk out through the meadow to where it just starts to go uphill. Right before that, we set him up with his turntables and a generator way off in the bushes, and we filmed his 1-hour DJ set with the drone, with 2 GoPros, a phone, a DSLR, and we made him an hour-long music video.
I want to see that.
Huh?
Yeah, I want to see that.
I can post a link. I think it's on his YouTube. I don't want to
Yeah.
post it on mine because I'm not
No
sure
worries.
about copyright with the music that's used,
Sure.
and I don't want to strike on my channel, but I can definitely throw a link into this description, and then I'll shoot you one through Facebook so you can check it out.
Cool.
Overland Family Man, hey Ben, thanks for your great website and trail guides. Get info you have shared, or great info you have shared. It says get info you have shared. I'm hoping, or I assume great info you've shared. Overland Family Land, actually, I could almost hit his house with a rock. I mean, not seriously, but
Does he have a Jeep?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've seen his Instagram before.
Yeah, his videos are really fun. He's got a great voiceover. We actually we're doing one on Rattlesnake Memorial, where some firefighters had burned.
Yep.
We filmed it very end of July, so right before the fires, with the drone and a bunch of other stuff. We did a huge vlog, and then now great, yeah. So what he did mean to say great. We had him do the voiceover for it.
Nice.
So it'll be a lot of fun. It's my piloting skills, my wife's editing skills, and his voice. So it'll be really pretty awesome. Hope to have that up here really soon, but right now we're so focused on all this fire content that we're going to be busy for a while. We'll be back up to launching 1 to 2 videos a day here pretty quick because we don't want the information to expire. But we got video of a 20-year veteran driving a bulldozer for his first time. Guy has been fighting fires for 20 years. He's never driven a bulldozer, and the guy was like a child. It was like so giddy. We put a GoPro in there. We filmed the guy in the helicopter who is an authorized person to drop those little Dragon Ball thingies to start backfires from a helicopter. We interviewed him. We have video of trees falling over. We've got epic amounts of video to go through.
Have you seen the drone parachutes they have that basically allow them to drop like the supplies to the firefighters that they can't drive stuff out to?
I saw it drop, but it didn't say what dropped it. I did see one though where a parachute comes in.
Yeah, and then they hit their target within like 100 yards. It's crazy, and it drops from I don't know what altitude is, but basically it'll drop it in the vicinity of your camp or wherever you are.
That's pretty awesome. I did talk with some of the officials on Tuesday when I was out there about becoming a government subcontractor as a drone pilot. Because
nice.
Usually when you call up and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a drone pilot, I want someone to click. I don't want your drones around my fire. Well, yeah. I understand that, but I've been through the training, and now I've also applied for the basic 32 to get the fire training.
Oh, cool.
To equip myself with as much knowledge as I can. I have no intention of becoming a firefighter, but with the red card comes more access to closed areas during the disaster, so I can cover those during next time, because there is going to be one. It'll be a lot easier for me to get in there than simply flashing a press pass. Also, you can use that to become a government subcontractor to haul materials during the fires and disasters. And there's a number of different reasons why I want it. Plus, it's also good to know about fire behavior when you're a camper. Hypothetically, your fire gets out of control. It'd be nice to be able to handle it. So, and knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I did not know you were in there. Eric, if you're still watching, he knows that spot very well too. That's a good spot. But
it is. We'll have to see what it looks like, but I'm not holding my breath.
No, but you saw my Plesket Meadows video, right?
Yeah, it was some brown and some green.
Yep, it did not burn as bad as, I had falsely assumed that the whole thing was just wiped out. I didn't know about until I'd met with Terry Crosco, the public information officer that came on, and some other people. I never even heard of a green island. It's where the fire goes around a section and leaves a little portion that's green.
Yeah,
never knew about those things, and there's actually a lot more of those than I thought. It gives me a lot of hope that they'll be able to reopen some areas sooner than others, and hopefully there's more of what I saw hopefully there's a lot of what I saw out there, because I only stuck to FH7. We never detoured except for that 312 to go to Board Tree. But there were portions that weren't even touched. They still had leaves on the ground that the wind hadn't even blown away. Driving up from the valley by the Rattlesnake Memorial, I don't know, have you been there?
I have.
It's very similar to, correct me if I'm wrong, but my analogy, it's a lot like Indian Valley Reservoir, a lot of chaparral, but it went through there with such ferocity and I guess wind. There's not even much ash on the ground. Like everything's just gone. It's the kind of area that Trump would be proud to see. Like somebody went through with a broom and cleaned it up. I'm not kidding. It's just wiped clean. So
yeah. That's not surprising, though. I feel like that underbrush up there just goes up. It just lights so easily.
We've also got the temperatures, and then because it's in a valley that's facing uphill, you get the higher winds, because the winds.
Yep.
When you're studying for the Part 107, we have to study wind patterns, and the wind up high is going one speed, and the wind down low wants to go the same speed, but when it's on a hill, it actually increases in speed to keep up. So you get a higher wind velocity.
You get those Diablo winds, which are the same thing from the Santa Ana winds. It's just, you get a area of high pressure out in the Great Basin. It blows over the Sierra, the Cascades, and the Basin ranges. It picks up speed. It drops down to lower elevation. It warms up, and then it hits the valley. And then, like you said, it starts going up that mountain again, and it starts picking up speed as it comes down the other side. Mm-hmm. And it's just a recipe for disaster, unfortunately, with fire seasons that we have now.
Mm-hmm. So with all that said, I'm going to call it an evening, but so Overland Trail Guides, you guys are mostly available on your website, if I remember correctly. You do have a Patreon page. Yep. So if somebody finds your information useful, I highly encourage them to donate something, because the amount of content or work that goes into that content is a lot more than you'd think.
It is.
So by all means, find these guys, check them out. Most of this live stream, I was cruising through your website, so the viewers have seen a lot of your website, and hopefully that is, the hook is in their mouth. Now it just needs to be set. So we'll see where that goes. If you've liked the content you've seen on this one, don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe, your comments, or if you like the content, hit the subscribe button. Ben is also on YouTube, so go check out his channel. But with that said, what I always like to remind people is only subscribe if you like the content. We don't like false subscribers. It looks bad for us. So if you watch a few videos and you like it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and don't forget the bell notification, because when we do these live streams, you'll get a push notification a half an hour before we come on, so you won't miss any content at all.
And don't be that person that puts an angry emoticon for a sunrise. That's
that's ridiculous, huh?
Yeah.
Fortunately, we get fairly thick skin as we post more and more. Like, whatever. I'm starting to actually get spam stuff like teen girls, blah blah blah. That it's like, Jesus God. Report.
I get that for legitimate stuff and like RV and van life stuff, but they're just like spammy websites, and I'm like, no, I don't want to exchange links with you. I'm good. But that's another conversation.
Overland Family Man just put in, we need a collab trip. He actually knows the forest pretty dang well also.
I think with the forest being burned, if Six Rivers is open, I should take you guys up there. There's some rad spots. It's a little bit further, but not that much further.
As long as a 3/4 ton diesel can make it, I'm all ears.
Yeah, of course.
Because
Why not?
I get asked a lot, like, why don't you backpack? It's like, well, I'm only getting younger. I like to live comfortably. And I have the stuff.
Yeah.
Why not use it? I have the trailer for work. All my stuff comes out, throw all my camping gear in there. It's my tent. You know, I've used it before. It's like, it's cold outside. Let's go use the heater and hang out. So we've all got our own styles. But yeah, if you're curious how I camp, I have a video. Just
right. We got to do that soon.
I record everything in my life. So I am following you, and I'm going to continue to follow you guys because I like your content, love your content, and it kind of aligns with what we do. Overland Family Man, as you know, I've been trying for weeks to get you and Dylan Riggs. Let's all go. Go somewhere. Just because the forest is on fire doesn't mean we can't go out. Last I checked on the Mendocino National Forest website, now I haven't checked in a couple of days, but the forest order saying that all the national forests within California had expired and not been reissued. The forest order closure area really baffled me because the perimeter hasn't changed, but the fire has exceeded the perimeter of the closure area. So they're obviously really busy because technically it says it's open, and maybe that's why the checkpoint at Lake Pillsbury was completely different than the checkpoint on FH7. I don't know. But there was a big difference, and the difference of getting in was different too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few days because I know that something's going to have to change. M3 hasn't burned, my favorite spot. Also, Overland Family Man says M3 hasn't burned in his favorite spot. He knows some spots with water, and I know that's something that everybody loves. I'm not going to share his locations, but doesn't mean I don't want to experience them. You know, so maybe someday we can all make that work. And I know COVID's a thing, but doesn't mean we can't go collaborate and do our own thing. So
happy to sign the NDA on that one. Won't publish it if you don't want me to.
Oh yeah, I won't disclose where your locations are. Just take me there. So check out both our channels. If you liked it, don't check them out. Hit subscribe if you like it. In the meantime, I'm going to end this. Ben, if you'd stick around for a moment, give everybody a wave goodbye. Unless you got a closing word, I should ask you that real quick.
No, check us out online, www.overlandtrailguides.com. If you got a question about a route, we have our email up there. You can hit me up on Facebook. Happy to answer questions, make suggestions, whatever. So hopefully you come check the site out.
Right on.
Thanks,
Cheers. Well, thanks for coming on the show.